Hello, this is cjhoyle. Today is Sunday, April 5th, 2020, and I'm standing at the corner of O'Connor Drive and Broadview Avenue here in Toronto. Today I'm riding my 1992 Iowa Linear Recumbent Bike, which has an action camera mounted on the front of it, and in this video I'm going to be giving a narrated tour of Broadview Avenue. So O'Connor Drive is an east-west street that runs across the eastern side of Toronto, but right here O'Connor Drive curves and heads left, and it actually changes names, and that's where Broadview Avenue begins. And Broadview Avenue is a north-south street, and so I'm now heading in the south direction along Broadview, which means I'm heading towards Lake Ontario, and therefore I'll be mostly riding downhill in this video. This northern edge of Broadview is mostly residential. In fact, a lot of Broadview is quite residential. Lots of houses. This area has a few apartment towers like the one straight ahead. And it's also not a perfectly straight street. You can see it's curving a little bit here. And that's because this street follows the sort of the profile or the shape of the Don Valley, which is the valley where the Don River flows. We're just crossing Cosburn Avenue, which is another east-west street that's best known to me because it has painted bike lanes on it, so it's a good route for cyclists for getting east-west, at least until Danforth gets its own bike lanes, which I hope will happen in the coming years. Cosburn's a street that I'm sure I'll cover in a future video at some point. Over on the left, we're going past a store called Dollarama. That's a Canadian chain of dollar stores, we call them, where originally Dollarama sold everything for $1. You went in there and, you know, whatever you picked up off the shelf, it was $1. If there were things that were worth less than $1, then they would package them, you know, into a package with multiple. So you're always spending $1. Since then, they've increased what they sell there, and there are some things I think that they sell for up to $4. We're just going past on the left Sobeys now, which is a Canadian supermarket chain that originally started off in the east coast of Canada. This traffic light we're about to cross is for Pottery Road if we were to turn to the right, or Mortimer Avenue if we were to turn to the left. Pottery Road is one of the few streets which goes from the top of the Don Valley down to the bottom of the valley, so if I were to turn right there, I would have been able to ride all the way down to the Don River and over to eventually Bayview Avenue on the other side of the Don River. Along that journey, I also would have gone past Todd Morton Mills, which is the site of some early mills that were built here in Toronto. I believe the first one was a sawmill. The street I'm about to cross up ahead is called Chester Hill, and if you were to turn right on there, it's basically just a residential street, but at the end of it there's a really nice lookout which allows you to look over the Don Valley from there. Here's a photo that I took a couple weeks ago from that very spot. So Broadview is a relatively main arterial sort of a road that has quite a bit of traffic on it most of the time, but it doesn't have a lot of traffic today, and of course I'll talk about that a little bit more later in the video. The street about to cross up ahead is called Pretoria Avenue, and I've got to stop for a red light there. We're now just about at the next intersection we'll be going through is for Danforth Avenue, which is the main east-west street cutting through the East End. It's basically the East End's equivalent of Bloor Street. Bloor Street, in fact, connects up with Danforth. They actually are perfectly aligned with one another. And then there's the Prince Edward Viaduct that gets you across over here to the East End side, Danforth. And underneath Danforth and Bloor, there's a subway, which is called Line 2, the Line 2 subway, and the last station on it before that subway crosses over the bridge is this one that's coming up on the left, which is Broadview Station. So the stations that are named along the most of our subways, in fact, are named after the streets that they intersect with. So all these buses that you see over on the left, those are all buses that are waiting there to cross the, or waiting to pick up passengers at Broadview Station. And here we are coming up to Danforth Avenue, about to cross it. On my left you can see there's a streetcar. Further down as we go along Broadview, rather than having buses, they have streetcar tracks instead, so there's a streetcar that follows it. I guess there's probably some buses that take this route as well. And we're just about to cross over Danforth Avenue, just waiting for our green light. And there it is. Let's let these people get ahead of me a little bit. Pass them over on the left. So now we're going to start heading our way down the hill. There'll be, a fair bit of a decline. And this road is kind of bumpy. I do apologize for the shaky camera as I go over these bumps. So up ahead on our right there is two houses that both have historic plaques. The first one, the one I'm just going past now, is the Frederick Hubbard house, and the one after that is the William Peyton Hubbard house. William Peyton Hubbard was a politician in the early 1900s, actually probably the late 1800s actually, and he was the first politician of African descent here in Toronto, and he remained, like a city councillor. They had a different name for city council back then, but he was basically a city councillor back in the day, and at one point he was also like the second most powerful politician in all of Toronto. And that's the house where he had built for himself, where he eventually retired. So coming up on our right, we're going to be going past Riverdale Park East, which is one of the things that this route is known for. I'll just pull my bike over to the side so you can see Riverdale Park East. What it's best known for is its view of the skyline of Toronto. You can see it's a park that's built on the side of a hill, and down the hill there's a kind of a soccer field with a track around it, and then of course on the other side beyond there, that's the Don Valley of course that we're looking down, and over in the distance you can see the skyline of Toronto, including the CN Tower. And from what I've been told, or what I've read in fact, that the name Broadview actually comes from that view that you see from this point of Broadview looking over across the valley. So yeah, if you're coming down Broadview, be sure to take a quick stop here to be able to look and enjoy that view. So yeah, Riverdale Park East is that park, and then at the bottom of the valley, there's a bridge which takes you over to the west side of the valley, and there's Riverdale Park West over on the other side. So kind of two parks that are connected together. And this whole area surrounding us is called Riverdale. All the neighborhood around here, the houses, if you lived in this neighborhood, you would say that you live in Riverdale. So coming up on the right is a hospital, that big 10-story building with all the glass over there. That's called Bridgepoint Health. That site has had a hospital since 1860, but of course that hospital that you see now is fairly recently rebuilt. This older building that you can see kind of straight ahead, the tan colored one with all the old brick, that is the old Don Jail, which operated as a jail here in Toronto from 1864 until 2013, so more than 150 years. And of course that's been closed, but the building is still there, and it's actually part of the hospital. The administration portion of the hospital resides within the Don jail. So we're just crossing Gerard Avenue East now, and this area here is known as Chinatown East. You can see there's a lot of businesses that have writing on them that are written in Chinese. I should point out as well, on the left we're going past a business, or not really a business, it's a not-for-profit called Bike Sauce, which is a do-it-yourself bike shop you can come to if you want to learn how to fix your bike. I should mention this video is being filmed in April, very early April of 2020, which is the period of time when we're banding together as humans to fight our common enemy, COVID-19, which means we're practicing social distancing, which means that a lot of the majority of businesses in the city and across the country and across the world are closed. I feel I have to mention that in this video because there are people that are going to watch this video when it first gets posted in April of 2020, but I make these videos as sort of a series of showing all parts of Toronto, and I imagine that people will watch these into the future when COVID-19 is a distant memory. So we're just at Dundas Street East now, which is a pretty important east-west street for cycling here in Toronto. You can see it has streetcar tracks on it as well, but it also has a painted bike lane on it, which is, it's a common east-west route for cycling. Basically, I showed Cosburn Avenue that's sort of north of Danforth, and then Dundas Street is fairly south of it. And between those two, those are kind of your main east-west streets that have cycling infrastructure on them. That car is obviously in a very big hurry, going much faster than the speed limit, or I don't know about much, but definitely faster than the speed limit. Yeah, so I wouldn't really recommend riding on Broadview under normal circumstances, particularly because of those streetcar tracks. It's very easy for bikes to get their wheels caught in streetcar tracks. And it's usually a much busier road than it is right now when so much is closed. So coming up on the right is the Broadview Hotel, which is a building that was built in 1893, but it wasn't originally a hotel. It was originally, the bottom floor was a bank, and there was some offices upstairs, like dental offices or doctor's offices, lawyers' offices. But it was changed into a hotel in 1907, and it remains a hotel to this day, although it had a long history of being more of like a rooming house type of a hotel where people would rent rooms by the week. And the bottom floor was a strip club, but it was very recently redeveloped into a sort of a boutique type of a hotel in that that old historic building. So we're just about at the bottom end of Broadview now. We're about to cross Eastern Avenue. Historically, Broadview Avenue would have gone further south than this point here, but that building that you can see that's straight ahead, the one that's got red brick, that's actually a soap factory, or it was a soap factory. And as that factory got bigger and expanded, Broadview Avenue was taken over, and Broadview Avenue therefore has been dead-ended here, so you can no longer go all the way down. So down here near Eastern Avenue over on the right is a dealership for minis, and beyond the intersection is the Bmw Toronto dealership. I'm just moving my bike, positioning it so that I'm sitting on top of the sensors that are in the ground for triggering the light to change. It won't change if I don't press the button or position my body or position my bike over top of the sensor. So crossing Eastern Avenue and Broadview eventually terminates here at Sunlight Park Road, right here. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed joining me on this narrated tour of Broadview Avenue here in Toronto's East End. If you watched all the way to the end of the video, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.